The next morning in the Western District, the guards were sweeping the area outside the house. Inside, Lu Fan and his elder sister sat sipping coffee. His sister exclaimed, "Wow, this is incredible. You just went to help the Mooring family, and you come back with the Dragon Mother and the 4 great dragons. Your territory is going to become a dragon breeding center soon." Lu Fan listened to his sister, paused for a moment, and replied, "Don't exaggerate. It takes a long time for a seed of life to grow into a dragon. By the way, while I was away, did the Ning or Long families give you any trouble?" The elder sister replied, "Oh, I completely forgot to tell you about the Ning family. Ever since you entered the secret world of the divine fragments, Ning Shuang has been coming here frequently to look for you." Hearing this, Lu Fan was stunned and said, "Wow, are they really that ruthless? And what about the Mooring family? They can't possibly just stand by and watch Ling Suhong throw a tantrum, can they?" Hearing this, the elder sister burst into laughter. Laughing, she said, "Look, you can't blame me or the family for not interfering in this matter. In fact, the main reason is that Ning Suhong always comes alone, and she only asks about you. If she can't find you, she simply leaves. Every time we see her, it really feels like she's here to seek revenge. But I didn't tell Mooring Sheng about it." Friends, if you like the video, please press the like button. We will try to bring you new chapters soon. Just as Lu Fan and the elder sister were talking, a shout suddenly came from outside. "Where are you, Lu Fan? Come out and meet me." The moment she heard the voice, the elder sister took a deep breath and said, "Speak of the devil and she appears. Look, Ning Suang is here again." Lu Fan had no idea how he should react next. Meanwhile, Ning Suang was extremely furious as she marched toward the house. Even the guard standing behind her was frightened. Ning Suang shouted, "I know you've come back, Lu Fan. Come out now. If you don't come out today, I won't leave this place." Lu Fan was stunned when he saw the girl. Pointing at her, he said, "Huh? No way. Is that really you?" Ling Song pointed at Lu Fan and said, "Don't pretend you don't know me. Since you came to meet me, you should know exactly who I am." Lu Fan asked, "Did you come here to take revenge on me? And what's with the way you're dressed? If someone didn't know better, they'd think you're desperate to marry me." Hearing this, she replied, "Yes, you're right. I came here to marry you." At this, Lu Fan exclaimed, "What? Have you gone crazy? You couldn't defeat me, and now you're talking about marrying me instead?" Ning Shuang explained, "Because of you, I've lost the trust of both the Ning family and the Luo family. Now you have to take responsibility for me." Hearing this, the older sister interjected, "I've seen forced marriages before, but this is the first time I've seen someone threaten to take their own life at my doorstep." Lu Fan calmly replied, "Sister, don't misunderstand. I didn't do anything." Then Ning Shuang shouted, "Don't you have any sense of responsibility at all? You've ruined everything for me, and now you're saying there's nothing between us." She yelled at Lu Fan, "Either you take responsibility for me, or kill me." As soon as she said this, she pulled out a sharp sword and held it to her neck. Seeing this, Lu Fan was troubled. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He was in such a predicament. Seeing this, his older sister also said, "Hey brother, looking at this, it seems like things are really bad in your personal life." To this, Lu Fan replied, "Oh sister, that's not true. Don't think such things. There's really nothing going on between us." Hearing Lu Fan's words, Ning Shuang got angry and said, "Hey, if I die here, how will you explain it to the family? How will you tell them?" Hearing this, Lu Fan became anxious and said, "Just leave. If you're going to die, don't die here. If you die here, it will only cause trouble." His older sister also agreed and said, "Hey brother, the eldest daughter of the family has always been very proud, and now she's risking her reputation for you. And you expect me to believe that nothing happened? Fan, something definitely happened. You're definitely hiding something." Lu Fan raised his hand to stop everyone and said, "That's enough. Listen to me. This situation can't be explained in a few words. The longer we drag this out, the more complicated it will become. The best course of action right now is for me to complete the mission for the Meng family first. Once I've finished my important tasks..." The older sister nodded in agreement. "Okay, do whatever you think is best." At that moment, Lu Fan unfurled his dazzling magical wings and soared into the sky, disappearing in the blink of an eye. As he flew away, he thought to himself, "What a strange mess this is. I should let her calm down for now. I'll come back later and sort everything out." But Shuang had no intention of letting him go. She leaped into the air, her figure flying after him, and she shouted angrily, "Lu Fan, You can't escape! Stop right there! A little later, Lu Fan arrived at the Murong residence in the Reed Pack area in the western region of the mountain range. As he reached the house, he noticed two men approaching him. They greeted him respectfully. Lu Fan, you've finally returned. Lu Fan began walking with them. They asked, How is everything in the dragon domain? He replied calmly, Yes, everything is fine. Everything has been taken care of. Lu Fan, please come inside quickly. The ancestors are waiting to see you, they urged. Just then, Ning Shuang appeared behind Lu Fan. The moment she landed on the ground, the guards immediately pointed their spears at her. The men accompanying Lu Fan warned, Hey, this is the restricted area of the Murong family. No outsiders are allowed inside without permission. Ning Shuang slowly walked up to Lu Fan and said calmly, I came here with Lu Fan. I am Lu Fan's wife. The moment those words left her mouth, everyone froze in shock. One of them exclaimed, What? You two were trying to kill each other in the divine realm, and now you're telling us this? Is that really true? Lu Fan replied coldly, Unfortunately, I don't understand what's going on either, but she is definitely not my wife. After saying that, he ignored her completely and turned to leave. The people standing beside Lu Fan glanced back at her once and said, Throw her out and close the gates afterward. Hearing this, she flew into a rage and shouted, Lu Fan, why are you ignoring me? Lu Fan pressed a hand to his forehead, looking troubled, and continued walking without stopping. After a short while, he stepped through a portal and arrived at the place where the ancestors resided. The scene before them was utterly terrifying. A massive blue dragon stood in the distance, its body wrapped in swirling purple and azure aura. The people standing beside Lu Fan spoke softly, Sir, you've returned safely, and you've also brought back what you asked for. Lu Fan extended his hand, revealing the item, and said, This is the seed of life you wanted, isn't it, dragon? The dragon stared intently at the object, then slowly spoke, Yes, this life force. It's extremely weak. My mother, something may have happened to her. Lu Fan replied calmly, Indeed, the Valley of Life no longer exists. The dragon stared intently at the object, then slowly spoke, Yes, this life force. It's extremely weak. My mother, something may have happened to her. Lu Fan replied calmly, Indeed, the Valley of Life no longer exists. Those words stunned them both. How could he possibly know that? The dragon asked sharply, What did you say? What do you mean by that? Lu Fan explained, When I arrived, the valley had already become a barren wasteland. The Life Dragon King and the other 4 dragons were trapped in a hidden realm. Outside that place, the world is overrun with invincible monsters. They keep reviving endlessly, and even wounded dragons become corrupted. The source of all this is likely an ancient god who has already awakened. Hearing this, the ancestor fell silent for a moment, deep in thought, as if wondering whether this could be. He stepped forward and asked, Will this allow the ancestor to gain a second life? A second life? The ancient dragon roared. Although a vast amount of life force has already been lost, it is still enough for me to be reborn. However, I will only be able to recover 80% of my strength and abilities. The remaining power will take another 10 years to fully restore. Hearing this, the two of them exchanged a glance and nodded in agreement. As long as you can live again, they said, nothing else truly matters. The next moment, the ancestral dragon swallowed the item Lu Fan had brought. As soon as it swallowed it, the item activated. Light emanated from its body. A blinding light enveloped it. Then through Lu, it instructed Lu Fan to summon his star dragon. Upon hearing this, Lu Fan immediately opened a portal and summoned the star dragon. The ancestral dragon then said, This is the reward we agreed upon. Star Shah creates a star. Breaking it causes massive damage over a large area, resulting in effects such as burning and explosions. Power increases with strength. Star radiance form. Power increases by 1,000%. 13 million celestial stars. A world destroyer. 29 million celestial stars. A true world destroyer. The JMMS core was one of a kind. Its stars continued to shatter endlessly from within, causing its power to grow without limit. In the end, it was detonated using a star dragon as the catalyst. The explosion unleashed catastrophic damage, enough to bring about the end of the world itself. At the very beginning, the number of stars had already reached 29 million. Lu Fan stepped forward, his face filled with joy. "This is what I expected from a Dragon King level skill," he said. A status window appeared, indicating that the mission had been completed. Star Joint Dragon commission completed. Quest reward: your dragon pet of the same Star Dragon bloodline has inherited the power of the Star Joint Dragon. All of its skills have been upgraded to Dragon King rank. Seeing this, Lu Fan was overjoyed. But that human, he was in trouble. He clenched his fists, staring blankly. At that very moment, the Ancestor Dragon looked at Lu Fan and made a solemn request. "My last request. I want to go to your territory and pay homage to my life mother there." Hearing this, he grew uneasy and asked whether they would be leaving this place. Lu Fan explained that he had already informed the Star Giant and the Murang family that the Sakura Nation would launch an attack on Tianfu Island within 3 days. He also mentioned that the Murangwei family had expressed their willingness to help, but he had politely declined their offer. He did not want any more people to be dragged into this battle. Before leaving, Lu Fan said, "I promised the Murang family that after meeting the Life Dragon, I would safely return the Star Giant Dragon." With that, Lu Fan departed. After putting everything in order, he began studying the adventurer's notebook he had found within the secret realm of the Divine Ruins. In truth, he was simply waiting for his enemies to arrive. The place where Lu Fan was reading was known as the Shadow Fortress Vacation Zone on Tianfu Island. Just then, a girl came running toward him in a panic. "Lu Fan, we're in big trouble," she said breathlessly. "Shocking news has just broken." Lu Fan looked at her and took out his phone to check. The moment he unlocked the screen, the headline appeared. The 4 ministers of the Flower Kingdom had awakened superpowers. All the leaders of the 4 flower gardens had reached the peak of the 5 elements, their strength now rivaling that of the Dragon Kingdom. Even more alarming, there were suspicions that the Sakura country had set its sights on the Dragon Kingdom's dragon trainers. Understanding her concern, Lu Fan said, "Listen, with so many of them moving at once, it's impossible that they're coming just for me alone. They're probably trying to intimidate our neighboring nations as well, hoping to take over the Tiki Nation without shedding a single drop of blood." Then Lu Fan added with a mischievous smile, "But if they really are coming for me, I'll make sure to teach them a lesson they'll never forget." On the giant screen, Lu Fan watched as a massive group of people advanced aboard enormous ships. One of them raised a hand and reported, "Master, the point ahead is the final location indicated by Yamata no Orochi. Lu Fan must be there. This time we will definitely find him." The man standing beside him, the one he addressed as Master, shot him a murderous glare and said coldly, "This is definitely the final point, and now, Dragon Tamer, you have no path left to retreat. Infinite Dragon Tamer, you will die by my hands." The moment Lu Fan saw them, he understood. With a faint smile, he said, "From the looks of it, our special guest is already in position." By then, Lu Fan's 2 friends, the 2 girls, had also arrived at his side. Lu Fan glanced at the status window, checking the information on the Tianfu region. Suddenly, a violent storm erupted over the sea, lightning flashing across the sky. Every ship began to rock violently. Bolts of lightning struck several of the vessels, setting them ablaze. The people in the boat panicked, causing a huge commotion. Just then, a voice rang out from the larger ships. "Seawater is entering the ships. Seal the hatches immediately and activate the combined protection of all the larger ships. Quickly." As soon as the larger one was activated, a large invisible shield surrounded all the ships. He immediately ordered maximum output power. Meanwhile, Lu Fan was watching everything on the screen. The girl said in surprise, "Hey, will this really cause any problems?" "These people are really coming this way." "Yeah," Lu Fan explained. "Don't rush, Uncle. This is just the beginning. I want everyone to come forward. Then they'll be taught a lesson." Meanwhile, everyone took small boats from the big ship and reached the shore. His entire army had now landed on the shore. He said to his master in despair, "Master, the storm and lightning have killed almost everyone, most of whom were soldiers of the 3rd rank and below. Our main fighting strength is still fine." His master replied, "Yes, you're right. This kid really has the talent to survive in such a dangerous place." Then he pointed forward with a finger and said, "Keep moving." Everyone advanced. Lu Fan checked the status window. Location, Shadow Island. Level 2. Area size, up to 1,800 square kilometers. Region, Black Sand Sea. Defensive status, storm clouds active. Fog active. Lightning tore across the sky in rapid flashes, sending waves of panic through the soldiers. Some of them muttered nervously, "This fog, it really feels dangerous. Shouldn't we proceed with caution first and confirm whether this is truly just fog or something else entirely?" Their master replied coldly, "You can observe it as much as you like, but this place is far from ordinary, claiming it will be far more valuable to me than you realize." But then, without warning, some of the men began to vomit, their breathing turning labored. A poisonous stench filled the air and the toxic fog started claiming lives, desperate screams for help echoing everywhere. The master immediately performed a purification ritual that had taken 4 months to prepare. The fog transformed, and before long, the people were revived. This power, known as life resonance, focused on the caster and released waves of healing within an 8-meter radius. Each wave instantly restored 15% of the maximum health of all allied units within its range, placing them into a natural, regenerative state. Yet in the very next instant, an invisible blade appeared in the air, slicing through the necks of several soldiers. The troops were left in utter confusion, unable to tell who had launched this sudden attack. Many were killed in that sudden assault. Screams echoed everywhere, shouting that the enemy attack had begun, yet the enemy itself was nowhere to be seen. Then, a stranger holding a bow and arrows finally appeared and laughed. "Oh, what an interesting welcome ceremony. You were waiting for us to be scared, weren't you? All this energy is being drained. This isn't something that forms naturally." At that moment, a shadow, level 80, lunged at the master. Immediately after, a man carrying a red banner stepped into view. He shouted, "Dragon Tamer! All you know how to do is show off your skills! Come out already!" And then, the one everyone had been waiting for finally appeared. The instant Lu Fan stepped forward, he said calmly, "Everyone, get ready to enjoy this carefully orchestrated performance." The sudden attack spread through the air, causing massive damage to the entire army, and people began to die rapidly. But just then a man appeared among them. He immediately used the power of Eye of Thunder. The unique trait of this power is that it illuminates one eye and summons lightning to strike a fixed location for 3 seconds. It releases a continuous electric current, dealing constant lightning damage to all hidden shadow-type creatures. As a result, they are forced to reveal themselves. The invisible attack in the air now becomes visible because of this power. And within just a few moments, he killed all of them. The master's other companions arrived with their weapons and put an end to the attack that had spread through the air. Even then, it was still not confirmed who was behind the attack. That was when a man holding 3 bows appeared. He killed several unseen enemies as well. He said, "You like playing hide-and-seek, but that's unfortunate for you. I always know which cupboard the ghost is hiding in." Saying this, he slaughtered them all. He used the power of Shadow Arrow, also known as Heart Piercer Essence. It fires an arrow infused with shadow energy, dealing heavy physical damage to a single target and extra damage to undead and shadow-type creatures. By now, all of the master's teammates had formed a defensive circle, and it became clear that almost all of the enemies were gone. Here, Lu Fan was calmly examining his status window. At the same time, the person holding the red flag activated a light-type skill. This skill creates an explosive burst, producing a light effect capable of eliminating or suppressing all illusion, invisibility, and shadow concealment effects of mid-level and below. Life Insurance. This skill generates 3 expanding healing waves within an 8-meter radius centered on the caster. Each wave instantly restores 5% of the affected teammate's maximum HP and places them into a natural healing state. At that very moment, the master waved his hand and issued orders to his entire army. "This place is not suitable for prolonged combat. Target the ancient city ahead and have all forces prepare to attack. War is the only solution." All the armies began advancing rapidly toward the city. Near the city visible ahead, an extremely intense light appeared. The master stared at it with murderous eyes and said, "No matter how deep you hide, it won't change the fact that you're like a turtle trapped inside a wheel." Meanwhile, Lu Fan realized the absence and immediately raised his hand toward the status window, saying, "I was waiting for you, but now you're late. Still, welcome to my hunting village." At that moment, Lu Fan activated skills that caused ghosts, previously invisible, to suddenly appear and launch attacks while fading in and out of sight. On the other side, Lu Fan's army was already prepared. It consisted of ghosts ranging roughly from level 5 to level 90. They arrived instantly and launched an assault on the Master's army. The Master's forces began to die rapidly. Masters rose into the air and began chanting spells. The man who had been observing the entire scene finally spoke in a deadly serious tone. "I will dig every single one of you insects out and crush you one by one." With that, the Master's second companion activated 1,000 Birds Thunder Domination. Lightning began crackling violently around him as if he himself had transformed into a living lightning bolt. 1,000 Birds Thunder Domain is a power that instantly creates a dimensional spider web of high-density lightning within a circular airspace of 100 meters in radius. Any entities, souls, and shadow-type creatures within this range continuously take 2% lightning attribute magical damage. At that very moment, a high-level shadow dragon appeared, but the man immediately attacked them both with his lightning power and shouted, "Hey, stop your moves!" Then, smiling slightly, Lu Fan watched the entire scene unfold on the screen. Seeing this, he said, An Era 5th stage expert is single-handedly wiping out an entire horde of enemies. The Sukura country card has arrived on the battlefield so quickly." Lu Fan saw all their armies on the screen. He immediately locked them as targets. At the same time, Lu Fan charged the monocrystal cannon to 100% energy and fired it at the target with a single click. Immediately, blazing fireballs erupted from the cannon. In a matter of seconds, countless soldiers were engulfed in flames. In an instant, people died. Meanwhile, Master was stunned by this scene. As smoke rose into the air, he coughed, perplexed, trying to discern whose attack it was. Could it be a massive attack? At the same time, a cannonball was also flying towards him. As he saw the incoming shells, he immediately realized, "Oh, it's him. Does Lu Fan have a crystal cannon? Why does he have Snow Nation military equipment?" He was completely shocked by what he saw, but he didn't have much time, so he immediately released his power towards the corner and was blown away with a powerful explosion. He coughed violently, blood pouring from his mouth. Nearby, the dragon roared loudly, but then suddenly, a huge fireball flew straight towards him and exploded. A huge crater formed in the ground as if not a single piece of his body remained. The Master and those standing nearby were stunned by this sight. The girl sitting next to him cried out, "Hey, there's no sign of the second brother. What kind of fireball is this? It's terrifying." The Master replied, "Yoshida, everyone, strengthen the formation." As soon as he said this, the burly man released Fearless Seed. Complete. This power was so dangerous that it required an artifact called the Grid Seal. With the caster as the center, it creates a semicircular fearless zone with a maximum radius of 50 meters. As long as the zone is active, all allies and units within it receive a shared full shield. This shield remains active continuously, and as long as it exists, all damage dealt to allies within the zone is absorbed by the shield first. The Fearless Shield had a durability limit of 10,000. But at that very moment, Lu Fan's squad launched an attack toward him, dealing significant damage to the shield. The shield cracked and its durability dropped to 8,821. Lu Fan immediately took his next step. He pressed the auto button and activated a lightning bolt from the sky. A massive explosion followed as powerful lightning struck directly onto the enemy's shield. The shield's protection range was now reduced to just 35 meters. Lightning kept crashing down at high speed, inflicting heavy damage on the enemies. Even so, he continued to face it head-on, urging everyone to hold their ground. Lightning continued to fall onto the shield. Its durability dropped to 4,135, then a few seconds later fell to 35. In the very next moment, it reached 0. So much lightning struck that anyone caught in it was instantly reduced to ashes, down to their very bones. Dodging the lightning strikes, the warrior pushed forward rapidly, shouting only one thing. "Don't stop! Don't stop! Make sure you return to the main ship and activate teleportation immediately." But then suddenly, lightning fell from the sky. And in the very next moment, the lightning turned his body into ashes. Even his bones were burned away. There was carnage everywhere. Only skeletons were visible. Even the people following the Master were terrified. They looked at the Master in fear and said, "Master, everyone is dead everywhere. There's a massacre and almost no one is left. It seems we'll be caught in it too, and we won't survive." But the Master said, "This is a brilliant plan. It only requires a level 70 dragon timer. Those who have turned heaven and earth upside down can become the means to bury the centuries-old legacy of the Sakura nation with them." Another man said, This revenge must be avenged in blood. The master was now a little frightened too. He shouted, "All soldiers, attack with all your might, and we will win." Perhaps this was the outer view of the ruined city on the island. The master spoke to the demon standing before him, ordering it to disperse and withdraw from the area where lightning was about to strike. Shikigami heads. Substitution activates automatically when lethal damage or unavoidable attacks occur within a restricted area. The substitution triggers on its own, consuming a large amount of yin energy along with a small portion of the caster's life force. Through this process, a Shikigami doll is created, one that is completely bound to the caster's life force and aura. In this state, the doll forcibly absorbs all damage dealt to the caster, acting as a perfect substitute. While he was explaining all this, a bolt of lightning suddenly flashed toward him. He immediately sensed it, shifted position, jumped away, and narrowly avoided the lightning strike. The status window shows that 100 Monsters Night Parade instantly spreads yin energy across the remaining yin fragments, each carrying 20% of the wizard's HP along with the wizard's aura, rapidly dispersing in all directions. Without wasting a second, he took aim and fired an arrow straight at the lightning, crashing down from the sky. The status window updated. Shadow Moon has acquired Rift Path. This is a specially crafted Shadow Special. The arrow itself is not meant for direct damage. Instead, it detonates upon direct contact, creating a 2-second Shadow Will field. Any energy-based attack passing through this field is subjected to an overwhelming gravitational force, forcibly distorting its trajectory. Here Master and all his companions stood together, lightning striking from the sky. The castle where Lufan was located was clearly visible. Glancing at him, he said coldly, "This is the cannon that killed my second brother." Glancing at Lufan, he threatened, "Dragon Tamer, I will extract your soul, purify your emotions, and offer them in honor of the brave martyrs of the Sakura Nation. You will not escape my hands." But then, something completely unexpected happened. Master stepped forward in shock. "What's happening? My wounds! They're healing on their own!" Suddenly, his wounds began to heal, and the damage caused by the shadow toxin also began to disappear. His companions were completely astonished by this sight. "This shouldn't be possible. Is this some kind of miraculous magic?" one of them said. "No, this is a gift from the beginning of life." When they all turned around, they saw an enormous tree towering behind them, radiating a sacred divine light. At the sight of it, he thought to himself, such a divine creation, something capable of controlling the balance of heaven and earth itself, how truly transcendent. If I possessed this power, why would I ever submit to anyone else? These so-called sons of heaven would become utterly meaningless. Lufan was watching their reactions on the screen. As soon as Lufan saw them, I completely understood. He was consumed by greed. The greed in his eyes was clear, shining brighter than my monocrystal cannon. "Here, Master," the one called the Great Assassin, said, "such a divine world, a place where all wounds will heal, where everything will be all right. This island should also be mine under my rule." Seeing their reactions, Lufan smiled and said lightly, "Convincing a proud hunter that the treasure of his dreams is within his reach, really isn't that fun?" Then he shattered that very dream with his bare hands. He said, "This is the most spectacular scene of this entire performance." Everyone halted in their tracks. The man standing behind the master spoke nervously. "Master, something feels wrong. Everything over there is too quiet. Is it truly calm, or is this a trap? Do we really have anything we can trust?" As the silence stretched on, their spirits instead began to rise. "We'll restore honor to our families," they thought. Excitement spread among them. The archer sneered, drew his bow, and said, "This is a fine platform." Then he aimed it and added coldly, "At the very least, being buried here will give him some peace." But at that moment, Lufan appeared. "And where are the rest of you?" he said calmly. "Out of more than 1,000 people, only 4 remain, and you still dare to shout." His gaze was sharp and merciless. "Do you still not understand how close your end truly is?" The moment they saw Lufan, almost everyone was so terrified that they froze in place. It really was Lufan. But then, something happened that stunned everyone. What kind of horror was it powerful enough to force them to flee? A colossal dragon suddenly appeared. It seized one of the men tightly in its claws. The dragon was unimaginably massive. Staring at it in disbelief, one of his companions stammered, "Brother, I've never seen a dragon like this before. This is my first time seeing something like this." The others were equally shaken. Just how enormous could a dragon possibly be? At this level, it felt as though it could conquer entire nations on its own. An old man nearby stared in shock and muttered, "Good heavens, it looks even bigger than you could ever imagine." Then suddenly, a blinding flash of light erupted. An explosion slammed straight into the ground. At the same time, the dragon fixed its gaze on the man, opened its enormous jaws, pinned him beneath its body, and carried him away. After devouring him, the dragon ignited its flames, roasting him, as it said casually, "These things, their spiciness is actually quite delicious." They were there. Sister Han, Kim Ko, and Geo Oman. They were all completely amazed by what they were seeing. "What kind of dragon is this?" someone said in surprise. "Tasting this kind of food? How dangerous is it?" The girl from Villa number 2 was also there, but she was standing apart, leaning against a different wall, lost in her own thoughts. Seeing this, Lu Fan's aunt said anxiously, "Oh no, it seems Lu Fan is being a bit careless." At the same time, Lu hurled the dragon aside. It immediately began forming massive fireballs. He glanced at the group below and thought to himself, "Are these really edible?" Seeing this, Lu Fan's aunt said anxiously, "Oh no, it seems Lu Fan is being a bit careless." The dragon, his eyes fixed on them, a throbbing ball of fire burning behind his back, was watching intently, as if to determine whether they were edible. At the same time, the shaft dragon, still holding the man in its mouth, grabbed a third person with its free claw. Looking at them, it thought to itself, "If I roast this at a higher temperature, it should taste even better." It wanted to know if this tiny thing could withstand its fire. What if it burned to ashes and there was nothing left to eat? Thinking this, it closed its eyes and released a very intense heat. The master standing nearby was terrified by the heat and ran for his life. He was completely bewildered, wondering where all these dragons had come from. Such large dragons and even larger dragon guns were fanning the flames, burning many people alive. Seeing this, the entire Dream Masters team got scared. They could not understand how this could happen. Everyone started running for their lives. Watching this from a distance, Lu Fan smiled and said calmly, "Oh guys, are you trying to escape? Come on, shouldn't you take revenge on me?" The dragon looked at them and said lazily, "Relax, relax. They won't be able to escape." At that very moment, Lu Fan's dragon activated a power, creating a powerful whirlwind. Those trying to escape were instantly sucked into the air. Another dragon came and jokingly said, "Hey, can't you even keep an eye on some ants? They're trying to escape." But the other dragons were busy eating, killing them and eating them non-stop. Seeing that he had almost become a vegetarian and was eating people, the other dragon tried to yell at them, "Hey, all of you, stay away from me!" After that, both dragons bowed their heads and stood aside. One of them said in a low voice, "Brother, eating isn't entertainment, it's a vital process for survival. It's what keeps us alive." Meanwhile, the rest of the enemy's comrades were still hanging helplessly in the air.
Lu Fan immediately flew into the air. He already knew they had arrived at the perfect time. From the beginning, these people were never a real threat. One dragon looked at Lu Fan and asked, "How should we deal with them?" Lu Fan lowered his thumb and said calmly,
"Defense training is complete. I already have information about this island. It can't be leaked. Make sure of that." All the dragons nodded in unison. Understood. Meanwhile, the boss and all his companions were still trapped inside the raging tornado, completely helpless. He shouted angrily, "Hey, wait! Please let me go! I can serve you! I'm only here to help my foolish disciple. He's already dead, so there's no need to kill me. Don't kill me!" Lu Fan looked at him with a slight smile and said, "All right, then tell me, what can you give me in exchange for your life?" He replied without hesitation, "Let me go. I can get you into the elite class of Reincarnation, or tell me what you want. I'll do my best to give it to you." The boss quickly said, "As long as I'm alive, I'll let you use all the resources of Reincarnation. I won't interfere in anything you do. You can even control the entire country. I can swear allegiance to you, and you can become the power behind the throne of Reincarnation." Hearing this, the others couldn't help but speak. "Master, what are you saying? As the owner of this castle, is this really your intention? Begging before the enemy? Sending yourself to serve someone in your own country? Can this even be called loyalty?" One of his companions mockingly said, "Oh, So you call this a brilliant performance? I always thought you were just heartless. I never imagined you would so completely abandon not only the pride of a warrior, but also the dignity of being a human being. He roared at this. Enough! Shut up, all of you. How do you know that life is only possible in the future? Once you die, everything is over. He said angrily. Do you really think that the so-called honor and reputation you've earned through sacrifice can stop the dragon's wrath? Another replied coldly. It's truly shameful to have any connection with a vile and evil person like you. Or why not? He replied immediately. This is the biggest mistake of my life, that I ever associated with you. Oh my God, just looking at you makes my heart tremble. Are you a loyal dog or what? Playing such a role would suit you perfectly. Then trembling, he turned and said, Oh, you foolish and ignorant man, I sacrificed everything to become the head of the Friday Nation. If you don't fear death, then go and die. We have no interest in dying. Lu Fan looked at them and thought to himself, they're fighting in countless numbers. Some have been displaced from life, others from honor. After crossing the fifth limit, a person can change like this. It's entirely possible. Could it be that the closer a person's power gets to that forbidden place, the more dangerous they become? Then the master turned to Lu Fan and said, Ah, honored immortals and the rest of you, you've heard them. They're cold and full of anger. But I'm different. I want to live. Keep me and Sakura away from your words and swords. The country will forge its own path. You will be its true master, its true king. Lu Fan listened silently. Then he raised his eyes and glared at him with a murderous glare. What you're saying, Lu Fan said softly, is a kind of trickery. Hearing this, the animal-like man standing in front of him suddenly exclaimed, There's more! So, you agree with me? He asked anxiously. Lu Fan replied calmly, But do you know what I hate most? The bald man cleared his throat and asked, Then tell me. Lu Fan's voice became cold. You remind me of an old friend. He would say, It's not my fault. Then he would say, It was my fault. Please forgive me. And after that, he would make the same mistake again. Lu Fan looked straight at him, his eyes devoid of any emotion. Those who trade their lives for profit, those who bow their heads to other countries. He paused, then spoke as if delivering a verdict. Mighty dragons, send them on their way. The order was given. In an instant, Lu Fan ordered his dragon to send those so-called powerful people to their final destination. Upon hearing Lu Fan's order, both dragons charged their power at the same time. One of the boss's companions, staring at Lu Fan, said in a strangely mocking tone, Loss was inevitable. At least in this battle, I gave everything I had. Another added, We are nothing more than frontline soldiers. The descendants of the Shukra nation will eventually defeat the dragon, so... But the third one screamed in panic, No, I don't want to die. At that moment, Lu Fan's dragons attacked together. This attack was known as Ice and Fire Hell, a devastating combined assault where the twin dragons merge extreme cold from one side and extreme heat from the other, unleashing it upon the target area. Icy cold and raging flames continued to surge relentlessly, dealing continuous and massive damage to all enemy units within the area. In a matter of seconds, everything turned to ashes. Lu Fan was still flying in the sky with his dragons, but as he looked down, he thought to himself that last time, Jin Chang Han had used a skill to fake his death and escape. Could it be the same this time? Were they really dead? Did they have any revival skills? The dragons looked at each other and said, Our power is equal to that of a 6th-level human, so if they use a revival skill, it won't escape our notice. The other dragon said, Stop complaining. Crush them until there's nothing left. Luin listened to them both, smiled, looked down at Tae and said, Okay. Just then Kim, Lu Fan's aunt, and the others came running in. As usual, Aunt Lu Fan was worried about him and said, Hey Lu Fan, are you okay? Are you hurt? Lu Fan replied, Yes, I'm fine. The problem is solved. Lu Fan's neighbor smiled and said, Yes, it seems so. The problem is almost solved. Nu Fan explained that this was the right time to help clear the battlefield. They were hoping for a big reward. Everyone started clearing the area, and everyone found some kind of weapon or reward. Kim found something shiny. Lu Fan's neighbor found a sword. Here, near the edge of the ice, a small lake was visible. The wreckage of a large battleship lay on the lake's shore, and Lu Fan wondered what had become of it. He thought, if these could be converted into Andra Empire-class magic battleships and used to build a fleet, it would be a wise move. Unfortunately, both the Badaki family and the Mare family lived in the western mountainous region. They would have no need for these warships. Lu Fan devised a plan. Besides, Mother Ro will only allow him to keep one at most. The rest will be difficult to manage, so I'll give Tu Jing as a gift, a wonderful gift. Lu Fan took out his phone and immediately called Tu Jin. Tu Jin was working in his office. As soon as Lu Fan's call came, he explained everything in detail. Jin was shocked by the entire story. He slammed his hand on the table and said, "Hey Lu Fan, what are you saying? Did you really single-handedly destroy the main army of the Sukra Nation's attack, and you seized 12 warships?" Lu Fan replied, "Yes, that's absolutely true. I'll give you 11 warships and keep one for repairs. How do you feel about that?" Tu Jin was overjoyed and said, "That's great. I'm very happy about it." He added, "Tomorrow I'll send people to Dragon Academy to complete the handover process with you." The weather was nice at Dragon Academy, and a few people were standing nearby. Suddenly, a portal opened in the sky above, catching everyone's attention. They all looked up, wondering what it was. Then, several people aboard a large griffin emerged from the portal. The system returned the information, Zhonggong level. The level is kept secret. He is the Goldwing commander of the Griffin Corps. They landed and met Lu Fan. As soon as Lu Fan saw them, he said, "Senior Tu Jin sent you, right? And I've been waiting for you for a long time.